Shadow here, and I'd love to welcome you back to another soliloquy from the lore of Honkai Starrail. In my first video, we read through the diary of Dan Shu, exploring her past experiences and what motivation she had to become the leader of the disciples of Sanctus Medicus on the Low Fu. Sanctus Medicus. That's what those followers call their deity, the Aeon of Abundance, Yaosha. Considering the roots of those words, it makes me think they were calling this Aeon the Divine Healer. We also know Dan Shu has a very dark view of Lan, the Aeon of the Hunt, which is the patron deity of the Zhenxiu Alliance, where Dan Shu lives. In learning about the Alliance, one can hardly mention Lan without also discussing its adversary, Yaosha. In that sense, the reason for Dan Shu's defection and anger leading her to the disciples becomes pretty clear. And likewise, why I'll be reading lore entries today for both of these eons. I will begin with Yaosha's simulated universe entry, The Abundance. There is a lot of debate in the guild about whether Yaosha is good or evil, and I think that's just people having too much time on their hands. Anyone with the slightest respect for the universe wouldn't apply our narrow definitions of good and evil to incomprehensible existences such as Aeons. Personally, I have an open mind when it comes to Yaosha. I will help the Zhenxiu Alliance to sort out the abominations of abundance, but it won't stop me from genuinely admiring Yaosha as a lonely and romantic existence. They travel between the universes with the Hunt and the Alliance in hot pursuit, both of which have sworn to destroy them. And yet they continue to bring enlightenment to world after world. I understand that the Abundance had never taken a single life, even though those they come into contact with often end up with a fate worse than death. Does Yaosha, the Abundance, actually understand their actions and consequences? People across the universe hold polarized views on this. One party thinks Yaosha does know of the consequences, but does not care. Another party believes Yaosha is tightly constrained by their path and cannot receive information outside of the path. I gave some serious thought to this question when I wrote the chapter on abundance in my book, How I Joined the Genius Society. And my final conclusion was, I don't know. We know so little about Aeons. I wouldn't have placed so much hope on the simulated universe otherwise. Apparently, Yaosha has spoken to the denizens of abundance and their pursuer, Zhenxiu, and I hope the simulated Yaosha would be willing to speak a few words to our trailblazer as well. Now, if I understand correctly, the person who wrote these entries is Herta. It seems she has a surprising admiration for Yaosha, known by many as the Plague's author, and who Herta herself admits bears a legacy of suffering worse than death. I myself am an open-minded individual as well, but I worry Herta may not properly respect the risk posed by the cancerous effects of unchecked growth. But then, neither does Ron May, and I admire her a great deal. But that is for another day. For now, let us continue on to read about the Rainbow Arbiter, Lan. The Hunt. Lan, on the other hand, often appears before mortals. However, they move too fast, and very few observations have been made about their actual form. Most of the reliable information is kept by the Jianzhou Alliance, and it took me a great amount of effort to get. As one of the rare factions in the universe that is completely blessed by an Aeon, the Alliance stands on equal grounds with the IPC, which meant the IPC couldn't help me at all. In the end, Ron May had to step up to help. In the ancient Jianzhou language, Lan means an unpredictable fog, and the Aeon's formal name in Jianzhou is Rainbow Arbiter. According to Jianzhou natives, the Lux arrow of the hunt showed them the way as their civilization was about to fall. How would you describe the Aeon of the hunt? We can get an impression from the Xuanje observation station's report in AE 2131. The astronomical observation system detected a gravitational wave, a spatial disturbance left by an entity traveling too fast to be measured and covering astronomical distances. Shortly thereafter, a flash of light cleaved apart the sky, leaving behind abnormal rainbow-colored traces. Half a unit of system time later, the entirety of the planet Xuanje imploded. The bad news was the IPC lost a planet in its business sphere. The good news was the IPC was out of ideas regarding the molting disease, undoubtedly the work of Yaoshi, spreading throughout Xuanje. The light permanently healed that planet and the patients on it, a race of immortal half-human, half-snake monsters. This is the action and creed of the hunt, for whom salvation and destruction are nigh indistinguishable. Their perpetual enemy, the abundance, is the same, for they bring healing and torment hand in hand. Ouch. The hunt seems to have as twisted a sense of healing as the abundance does. But at least Yaoshi's cure doesn't involve the patient dying. Though, as many benefactors of her healing seem to prefer death, maybe Lan isn't too far off the mark. What an interesting duality, and a reflection I didn't quite grasp when first hearing of this opposition in the game. What side do you lean towards? The rampant growth and chaos of the abundance, or the rigid discipline and vigilance of the hunt? Let me know, along with any other revelations you gleaned from these passages. Speaking of choosing sides, I'll likely read some passages exploring those opposing factions more closely next, similar to Don Shu's journal. If there are any in particular I should focus on, or any you want to hear next, I'm happy to listen. For now, there is a lovely thunderstorm outside my cozy home I'm excited to enjoy from my bed. So, until next time, sleep well.